Linda and William are two former classmates who unexpectedly become adversaries at a job interview. Linda is a girl with a strong character who is ready to do anything to prove herself and achieve her goals. William is the hiring manager, a man who once greatly offended Linda. Now they come face to face and their past influences their present. Linda came for an interview for the position of personal assistant. From the very beginning, she was confident in herself. But everything changed when she saw William, her possible boss. Before she had time to say a word, she heard from him, "You are not suitable for me." This was said so quickly that Linda didn't even have time to get upset. Instead, she decided that she would fight for the job and not let William scold her. Linda expressed dissatisfaction with this premature rejection. "I don't think it's fair to judge me by my appearance." William, a little embarrassed by his determination to conduct the interview honestly. Linda sat down opposite him and began to talk about herself, but William didn't really listen. Most likely, it seemed to be filled with liquid. William started reading her resume and commented, "So you are the one who always fights to the end?" And it seemed to him that although she was persistent, there was something in her eyes that made him think. "We are not suited for each other's work," William said respectfully. But Linda did not give up. "You probably confused my resume with some other one. I don't do those things." William looked at the paper in his hands and realized that it did not contain all the accusations he had just made. He laughed and realized that perhaps this was not just another contender, but someone he should listen to. Linda and William stood opposite each other, and the abyss of the past opened up between them. Linda, eager for a new job, and William, a man from her old high school life who was ready to reject her again, only now because of the date of birth on her resume. "Sorry about?" Linda was confused. "Read it out loud." William's request sounded like a sentence, and it was formulated in accordance with the date of her birth. Linda began reading. "November 12th. "Enough. Whose day is it today?" William insisted. "Banking day," Linda said, trying to understand what he was getting at. "Yes, that's the thing. Scorpion." William grinned. "I don't get along with guys like that." Linda was speechless for a moment. "Is all this attractiveness really related to your zodiac sign?" "Don't worry, I'm not a Scorpio. My mom and I faked dates so I could go to school early. In fact, I'm a Capricorn, born on January 21st, Linda lied. William was a handsome man who made many women lose their heads. He had that same smile that now twinkled in his eyes as he sucked on the lollipop. Linda casually wanted him to choke. William appreciated her lie. They lied well. They didn't bat an eyelid. "There's still a lot you don't know about me," Linda joked in response. "I understand, open-minded Scorpio. But jeans and flats for an interview?" "He's a loser," is William's usual comment. He was still measuring her by her clothes, although Linda was sure that was not the main thing. If only he knew that behind her smile and charm was an intelligence and tenacity, ready to prove her worth. "I disagree, William. 4 beauties stood in front of me, but you turned them off. So being visible is not the main thing," Linda remained confident. William laughed. "Astute, huh? Attentive and vigilant." Linda stood her ground firmly. "Ah, I see you are very smart. But why are you wearing jeans then?" William was curious. "You saw that the ad says, Assistant 24/7. How about wearing heels all day?" Linda did not allow herself to be embarrassed. William continued, "You dress like that because I think life is always like that. And you probably didn't take that blouse with you. He's too big for you." Linda found herself at a dead end, but she was not going to give up. "I need this job and I'm strong, believe me." William pulled his chair closer and sat down, looking into her eyes. "Tell me, Linda, what do you understand by the fairy tale, Puss in Boots?" Linda felt that the game was gradually escalating. "It's a fairy tale that if you put boots next to cats, they'll pee in them," she joked. William raised an eyebrow. "Original. What is your answer?" Linda challenged. "I will tell you later." William continued. "What about goldfish? What is the moral there?" "The moral is simple. It's better to be alone than with a woman who looks like a witch," Linda answered with a laugh. "What about Riaba hen?" William did not lag behind, supported by his laughter. "Explain," William asked. "If the mice had been taken out, the egg wouldn't have broken," Linda said. "If the mice had been taken out, the egg wouldn't have broken," Linda said. William changes. "You know how to surprise? So, what are the answers?" Linda was curious. "The moral is that I still don't understand anything," William admitted with a grin. Linda could hardly contain the excitement and disappointment in her soul. "What did the others say?" she asked, already sensing a trap. "The first two relied on their beauty, and the next two on charm. But I expected more from you," William replied, like a drop foretelling a storm. "And why am I not suitable for you?" There was a challenge in Linda's voice. "Read what our advertisement says." William handed her a piece of paper, and then she froze. "I need an assistant who is not in a relationship, without children and bad habits," she muttered. "What's happened? I give up." "What about bad habits?" William asked with a grin. "I don't smoke or drink." Linda was ready to leave this endless game. "But you bite your nails," William pointed at her hand, as if it were a sentence. "Are you joking? What about nails?" Linda could hardly contain her anger. "There is another reason," he added mysteriously. "Because of my weight," Linda suddenly roared. William stood up, and at that moment Linda felt small and invisible. "I would even accept a scorpion, but a thief is unacceptable to me," he said, hitting him right in the heart. Linda was stunned. Her revenge vanished like smoke. Her confusion was interrupted by his smile. "I didn't want to anyway." She mentally cursed and headed for the exit. "By the way, sitting on a table is a bad omen," she added almost in passing. "Thanks for the warning." William didn't lag behind. At this point, Linda gave him the middle finger. But suddenly, William began to choke on the candy, clutching his throat. Linda looked at the exhausted William, wavering between the desire for revenge and a wave of unexpected anxiety. And so she, overcoming her feelings, rushed to his aid, using the Heimlich maneuver, as taught at school. It was difficult and clumsy, but she tried until she finally felt his arms wrap around her in gratitude. "Enough, enough." William pulled her hands away and turned around, breathing freely. "Technology needs to be improved. You are the only one who decided to help. So, let's get down to business," he said with unexpected approval in his voice. At that moment, Linda had the feeling that this interview was not the end, but perhaps a new beginning. This life-training situation on the brink of a pleasant incident drove Linda over the edge. She literally burned with shame, and at the same time was angry with William for his one-man show. "Breathe deeply, calm down. Now let's move on to more important matters," William said, demonstrating an imperturbable confidence that contrasted so sharply with her current state. "Shall we move on to more important matters?" Linda could barely restrain herself from exploding. "Yes, to the most important ones. As deep as your cleavage. Although, actually, your bra wasn't that bad," he continued, sneaking a glance at Linda's unbuttoned blouse. She quickly covered herself, feeling real indignation and shame. The buttons flew off, and if not for the whole rescue farce, she would not have had to endure such shame. "Here," William said, handing her something folded, and a smile appeared on his face again. "What is this?" Linda barely squeezed out. "This is a spare shirt for me in case I get dirty. You will need it now, so please change your clothes." His voice sounded surprisingly soft. "You are both a joker and a coffee drinker," Linda muttered, still angry, but already slightly calmed by his address. As she expected, the shirt looked much better on her than the borrowed blouse. She even looked slimmer in it. Strange, but it gave her confidence. Returning to the office, she noticed that William pointed her to a leather sofa. Sitting on the edge, she was afraid to interpret his words and actions in her own way. "If you were wearing heels, you would sit differently. And once again, you won't rack your brains about where to put your hands," he commented on her pose. She understood that her act of sticking out her middle finger required an apology, but words, as usual, did not yield. While the anguish of pride prevented her from speaking, her mind was already looking for a way out of this difficult situation. When everyone thought his behavior had reached a breaking point, William suggested, "If you had shoes on your feet, you could hit me hard with them." This cruel humor was a hint that she was indeed capable of this. But now Linda was preparing herself internally for the final stages of this interview, noting with wonder the benefits of recent ups and downs that had given her a new perspective on her strengths and capabilities. William casually wiped away the spilled coffee with a napkin, looked at Linda, and asked with a hint of mockery in his voice, "I apologize for the middle finger, yes?" Linda just smiled back, without saying anything polite. It was obvious that she noticed a more important problem. She moved the conversation to another topic, so as not to seem like a weak-willed pawn in his hands. "Tell me about yourself," he continues authoritatively, as if allowing her to start all over again. Linda, tired of all this playing with rules and authority, simply replied, "Med school. I don't like people. I worked at a newsstand." William's smile widened. "What a coincidence. And I don't like people," he said, leaning over to look at the ruined shirts that Linda had no intention of returning. "After today, when everything is over, I will read your resume more carefully, and we will continue the conversation," he assured, adding a new tone to this strange interview. Linda's heart was pounding. Her head was spinning from this madness. She thinks about what script she will write tomorrow, and at the same time wonders if she is going crazy, wanting to continue this game. Intertwining her hands in a tight bun, she watched William with interest. Having decided to use one of her unexpected trump cards, the ability to learn and adapt, Linda noted to herself that she was ready for the whole world. Be it making coffee, planning, or even discovering revolutionary changes in countries, but now in your interviews. "Distracted," Linda suggested, wondering what to expect from this conversation. William nodded and exhaled steam from the cappuccino in front of her. "And it is right. Love is wonderful, but work requires a cool mind and full concentration on the matter." "I remember that," Linda reassured him, feeling an unpleasant tension beginning to thicken in the air. "Then that's it," William continued, folding his hands in front of him and sitting comfortably. "The interview is over. You leave me your contact information, and if my team finds you suitable, we will contact you. You must be ready for any challenges and changes. Here the banality ends at the office door." Linda nodded. "I understand. I was ready to leave as soon as I walked in here." "Big. Then maybe I'll see you tomorrow," he said, and the shadow of a smile crossed his face. He walked to the door and opened it for Linda. The light of the corridor seemed to symbolize the opposite beginning, a new step towards future work. Looking at her confident silhouette in the reflection of the door glass, Linda realized that the risk was worth the effort. Linda slightly injured her lip, trying to resist William's slippery tone. She was well aware that the job she was applying for would not be easy. Work for a large corporation with complex skills that won't take every harsh comment with hostility, and maintain your composure even when all your instincts are screaming to run. "Julia," Wilhelm began, but hesitated, as if he had suddenly remembered something in his subconscious. "Linda," the heroine corrected him. "My name is Linda." William looked at her, and a second sister flashed in his gaze. "Linda, really. We apologize for the misunderstanding." He bowed slightly, and it looked so unusual after all the previous conversation. Without answering anything, Linda walked out the door with a firm step, and holding William's gaze, added, "We all got our chance, didn't we, Mr. William? And I assure you, I am not afraid of your convoluted strategy or unexpected challenges. I'm ready to go. And yes, I am ready for countermeasures if necessary." William simply looked around slowly, crossing this promise off his internal list of things to check in person. Linda breathed in the fresh air as she left the office and instantly felt the tension leave her shoulders. She knew that she had chosen a difficult path, but it was excellent. Living novels are more interesting than on paper. With new things appearing and determination in her heart, she was ready to face her destiny. And William, with his unorthodox methods, was just another equation waiting to be solved. William walked to his window, feeling an unexpected surge of confidence. If she survived today, that says a lot, he thought. Linda's determination made him admire something that didn't happen often, and gave new impetus to his ordinary days. And he decided to give her a chance. Linda, happy and excited at the same time from the secretary's call, sighed and raised her face to the night sky with a smile. She knew that tomorrow, not only a bunch of documents and new responsibilities awaited her, but also the first step towards something bigger, towards personal victory over herself and over life circumstances that always seemed uncontrollable. But now she was ready to face them. "Hello, new Linda," she whispered, crossing the threshold of the building, where new stories, new challenges, and possibly new friends were already waiting for her. The next morning, the office opened earlier than usual. Linda welcomes new colleagues and unforgettable daily activities. Graceful lines of glass partitions and warm spring light breaking through panoramic windows filled the room with air and new possibilities. Her workstation was already ready and equipped with an adapter for the new task. Linda got a job, and the days flew by in a frantic dance of projects and deadlines. Suddenly, she found that she liked her new role. Every morning was a mystery, and every evening brought a reward for everything that was done well and on time. Several weeks passed, and one day William invited Linda into his office. When she entered, he was standing at the window and looking at the cityscape. "Linda, your work here is simply amazing," he began, looking out the window and turning his full attention to her. "You exceeded all my expectations. Thank you." He walked over and extended his hand in recognition and respect. Linda accepted this gesture, and at that moment something more than just a working relationship broke out between them. The air between them vibrated with an invisible tension that made their hearts beat faster. "I have a new offer for you," he continues. "A project that could change our industry, and I want you to lead it." Linda felt a wave run through her veins. This was the moment when she laid the whole foundation. No matter what happened tomorrow, she knew one thing. Now she was playing for big money. She presented her project the next day, establishing herself as one of the company's top leaders and innovators. The light of the flight beacons of the supply drones, according to her idea, sparkled in the sky like new stars. The cityscape was filled with the language of progress and bold ideas, and Linda was the spark that ignited a new vision of the future. Years passed, and Linda became not just a manager, but also a co-owner of the corporation, and William faded into the background, turning his attention to other horizons and tasks. Despite this, they both teamed up to change the great path of the endless world of high technology forever. Linda's story became a legend, a source of inspiration for those who looked to the future with dreams of great achievements. Her name was carved into the walls of time as a symbol of unshakable willpower, detachment from doubt and faith in this winged idea reaching the heavens.